Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today we have a review, impressions of a knife that was loaned to me by an awesome channel member, Tyler Williams. Thank you so much. I appreciate you allowing me to check this knife out. If you haven't already had a chance, go check out Tyler Williams. He's got a channel and does some great shorts. So let's take a look at this knife. Let's get into it. All right, so we're looking at the Null Knives Ghoul. This is number 107 here. Dark stone wash, satin wash for the handles. The hardware is satin, and then the blade steel on this particular one is S90V. So this is S90V blade steel, which is pretty cool. Definitely a more premium steel. Definitely a little step up, you know, as far as edge retention and other things like that. This is a flat grind, as far as I can tell. I didn't feel any hollow. Yeah, it's a flat grind. Interesting clip point, as you can tell on this one as well. I do like this kind of stone washed sort of look, or acid wash. Some people will call this, like McNeese will call, this the atomic wash. I think Hinder calls this a working finish. You know, other people will call it a stone wash or whatever. I love Sean's design aesthetic. It's just simply fantastic. And if you saw my unboxing, I really like this knife, but I had a few things that were an issue for me, at least with someone with large hands and big meaty fingers, right? If this wasn't the case, I think this knife would be an absolute fantastic knife. I think I'm going to look at it from the perspective of, you always buy a knife that fits you and a knife that's comfortable to carry and use. And if you do that, then I think, you know, if you look at who this was designed for, I think this is a fantastic knife. Now, I do think it misses part of the target audience, and we will talk about that in a little bit. So Sean is the designer for Null Knives. He's the one who started the company and designed them all. I have his Raku. I've checked out his Voodoo. He's also got the Radon and some other ones that are really fantastic. I love everything about this knife as far as fidgety. It's just so smooth. Action is buttery smooth. I no need to put skiffs in there. I love his all the design on here. Everything's nice and rounded. There's a little place for a lanyard loop. There's no real hot spots except for the clip. That just really, that's a bummer. Right there, got an edge and edge right there. Those are two big things, and the reason why they matter is because of the way I have to grip the handle. I mean, maybe for different handles, different hand sizes, that won't be a bother at all. So, you know, this could be just purely my ergonomic thing. So I just take it with a grain of salt. I always say, buy what you love and love what you buy. And so if you love this design, you love the aesthetic, everything, I can tell you everything as far as quality, you're not missing anything as far as quality. This is phenomenal. Phenomenally made. It's made by Riot. Riot is the OEM. Sean is a designer. Null Knives is the company. Just really fantastic aesthetic and everything. This is a inset liner lock. Is it an inset? Yeah, no, it's a liner lock. So it's an inset liner lock. I mean, it's not inset. It's a liner lock. So it's a true regular liner lock. So beautifully dead nut centered. I like that. Tie scales. Love the aesthetic. It's very unique designs, very nice milling texture, all that wonderful stuff. It's got some very kind of industrial sort of modern kind of look to it, which is kind of cool. The flipper, the jimping goes all the way across, so that means you can get your finger up there and it works really well. I mean, I wish more people, when they do a front flipper like this, man, this is how you do it. And it's not overly aggressive. It's not like shredding me. Like Riot does some stuff for the Pena X series, and a lot of times their flippers, it's like it's a shredder, right? It feels like it's a file. You could just file away whatever you needed to. This is comfortable. This is not superly aggressive. It's enough space. You get texture, but you can move your hands without it feeling like it's going to take off a layer of skin. I really do like that. So I think that's fantastic. It is a clip point. It's got some nice jimping on top. The jimping works as well. Now there's no choke up position here. To me, that's a kind of a sort of a miss as far as I'm concerned. So that's the first thing, right? Material wise, S90V blade steel. I mean, that's just fantastic, right? Titanium right here. This is really wonderful as well. There's wonderful weight relief on this one on the inside, and the liners on this side. So I'm sure there's some weight relief in there as well. This looks like it's a titanium. Is it? Hold on a second. Yeah, it's a steel bar insert, but it looks like this liner here, yeah, it's a titanium liner, but there's a steel bar insert there. So that's a titanium liner on the inside. So that's what kind of helps with some of the weight relief with the steel, right? But that man, look at that liner. I mean, the steel bar insert or that liner, the way he milled it and the way it fits in there, that's just gorgeous. Such wonderful access. Look at that. Beautiful cutaway, nice jimping on there, just outstanding. And then the drop is just ridiculous, the action. So when you drop this, you can catch it like this right here on your thumb, so you don't have the guillotine. You got to make sure you go up high, right? You got to make sure you go high. If you got bigger or meatier fingers than I do, sorry about the doorbell, I forgot to pause it. But you know, if that got bigger, meatier fingers than I do, then that's gonna, you know, you might be careful with that choil. But otherwise, it's not terrible, right? Great sharpening choil, by the way, plenty of room there. So there is that. But man, that lock there, that lock bar access, I love it. I absolutely stunningly love it. The chamfering all the way around is fantastic, except for right here. This is my one sole gripe. I get the aesthetic. I get what he's trying to do. It flows. It's beautiful. But man, this is what kind of knocks it out for me. This sharp corner right there, when I grip, that's where my hand is, and that goes right in my knuckle. And I have large hands with big meaty fingers, so this is going to be equivalent to a extra large hands with regular sized fingers, a double extra large hands with smaller fingers, right? You're going to be on that knuckle point, so you either have to spread out and go past it, or you have to tighten up really tight to get in there, but then it really digs into the side of it. It's just not comfortable. And then this clip kind of moves you around. So it is one of those things that, this is such a beautiful knife. I wish it was just a little bit bigger, had a couple of fixes on there. It would open it up for me. I think if you got smaller hands, I think if you've got smaller fingers, you're going to love this. None of these things are going to matter. They're not going to be in your way. You're going to be able to move around this. This is just, it's like that QSP. QSP did some knife that was really beautiful, but it was just, the grip was too small. They never fixed it for bigger hands. And, you know, and that's fine. You know, you can make the knife you want to make, but just realize you're going to limit the people who are going to be able to buy it, because this is not one of those things where I can just kind of lay over on the side. You're right at that point where you got to either have really big hands and be willing to grab it out there, or little hands and grip it in there. So for me, it is, I'm glad I got to check it out, because I would never have bought this, or it would have been a catch and release. That, I'm just saying, if you have similar hands to me, you have the same size, right? You know, I just realized with what hands I'm dealing with. So my knuckle from here to here is going to be about 3 and I would say, I'm trying to think, it's about 3.5 inches. And then if you look from here, from the inside of the hand, you're probably from here to here about 3 3/4, right? So that's the width of my fingers. They don't come together really thin. So, you know, that's just something to think about. May not matter for you, and if it doesn't, then you know what? This knife is executed beautifully. I can't knock the execution. I can't knock the design. I can't knock any of that. It's just everything about it I love. I've never been disappointed with anything that Sean has made, even his voodoo, which is like way over the top. And I get, for some people, they love it. And again, that's another one of those things. You know, it's a pretty extravagant knife. It's not quite my cup of tea, but it's pretty extravagant. And if you like that, I think you're gonna love that. You would love it, right? You're gonna love it or you're not. So this is one of these that I you know, the clip point, that's a little aggressive. Has a nice swedge on there. It's cool. The fuller, beautiful, very functional fuller. Absolutely works really nicely, both left and right-handed. And because it's a liner lock, it's so easy to get to. That's the other thing. This is one of those knives that's I'm excited about it. I'm also disappointed. I'm disappointed because it's not going to ergonomically be comfortable for me. It's just not. And I don't collect knives just to collect and have safe queens, right? If I did, this would absolutely be a perfect candidate for collection piece. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a nice looking knife. If you never carried it, it was fantastic. But I've got to be able to fidget with it. I mean, it has everything set up to be an awesome fidget knife. Everything about it is just stunning. The drop, the close, everything like that. It's just the grip. I can't get past that for me. And that's just for me. It may not be for you. See, always I can feel it. And as soon as that happens, what happens is, you know, then it becomes, I just won't carry it. And so that regard, just take my perspective with a grain of salt. My hope is that if you have similar hand shapes, you know, if you feel like that could be something you could deal with, maybe this will help you not to, you know, purchase this version that he comes out with, maybe one of his other ones, like the Raikou, or get his new, the new Radon version 2, I think he's coming out, or version 3, I forget which one it is, but he's coming out with another one of those as well. maybe that's the one for us, right? But this one, if you got smaller hands and you really dig this, this is going to be a fantastic knife. If you always say, hey, that Radon, that Voodoo, they were really big. They were just too big. I'm telling you, this is your knife right here. This is your knife. As long as you like the aesthetics, everything about it is just executed so fantastically. And I bet if I put skiffs in there, it would be ridiculously even more buttery smooth. It doesn't need skiffs, no, but I would put skiffs in there if it was mine. So I'm just saying. So in that regard, I like it. I like it a lot. I like the way it opens. It has the fuller. It has the flipper, the front flipper, which is just simply one of the best front flippers I've had in a long time. Just really wonderful. I can put my hand on there. Man, Sean, you did such a good job there. I love the fuller, fully accessible all the way up high, low, whatever. I can do it with the thumb as well, right? All that stuff. I can do a nice slow roll. All that's just simply stunning. I could do a slow roll even this way, which I like. And I can do it left-handed, right? Oops, I'm not a lefty, so I gotta get a little speed going. And you can do the one-handed, the finger, right? The back of the knuckle, kind of do that, which is always nice, right? You probably, if you had longer hands, yeah. I don't, mine are a little short, but you can do the reach around, right? So this, you can see there's the S90V, which is a really cool font, by the way. I think that's kind of a neat font, S90V. It's very cursive, if you will. So that's kind of cool. All right, so I'm digging that. I'm digging everything about it. I like the blade shape. Even this clip point is very unique. It's super slicey. It's not super thick, but it's not super thin. But that edge is super slicey. The tip's going to come out, be a great pokey tip, so you can get in dog food, cat food, fertilizer, mulch, whatever you need to get to. This is just simply stunning. You're gonna love that, right? Again, it is sort of a stone wash kind of acid finish with a little satin kind of a milling there. I like that. I like that. I think it's cool, right? So definitely cool. This gives you a little bit of texture everywhere around there. I like that as well. I think that's just another bonus. All right, so that's how it opens and closes. Just really nice. Just really nice. I hope his like Radon, and I never owned a Radon. I have a Raikou. Love the Raikou. I would love to see more liner locks like that. I really like that. Really like that. I know the Divo Knives Tallboy did it. The Brown Knives Cortex XL has something where they do an insert. I know Brian Nadeau, all of his design, Sharp by Design, they do something like that. I dig that. I dig that a lot. So, all right, let's get into the measurements here. Let's see how much this knife weighs. All right, so I'm going to say 3.8. I don't know. 3.6 ounces. Not bad. Pretty close. 3.6 ounces. So 3.6 ounce knife. Let's go ahead and do the overall measurement of the knife. So it's not a gigantic knife. You're right at 7. Ooh, just shy of 7.25. I want to say 7 and... Oh, if we do a quarter and a quarter of a quarter, so I will say 7 3/16. Probably 7 3/16 is what we're talking about, right? Overall handle area where you have room. This is where it's a little challenging. You get about 3 3/8 of total space. If you can get past this little very pointy area, you could get up to maybe 3 3/4. I can't. My knuckle rests right on there, and it spreads it too far to go past it. So I'm going to say overall really reasonable grip area is going to be about 3 3/8, right? Overall, the length of the blade from the tip to the top of the handle, you're about 3 1/16. Overall cutting length, you're about 3 inches exactly. So 3 inches exactly. All right, so let's talk about the overall blade stock thickness. So we're dealing with 118 thousandths of an inch. So not super thick, but not super thin, right? 118 thousandths, which allows it to be really nice and slicey. So let's talk about the price. What's the category? Is this a regular knife? It's definitely over $300. This is $335 as is like this, which is pretty much the basic. I think there's some other versions that are a little bit more. Definitely if you get the Damasteel, I think he had a special version of that. That's going to be well over $600, right? I mean, obviously it's going to have probably Damascus and some other things, but this is definitely what I would call a higher end knife. It's in the lower category as far as higher end knives, but definitely in the higher end knife as far as I'm concerned. So I think it's nice. I don't think it's overpriced for what you get. There's a lot of finishes on here. Things that you may not see and you may think, wow, this milling, that adds cost. This texture and unique clip adds cost. Hidden hardware adds cost. This titanium liner with the steel bar insert and the way it's milled, that adds cost. And having it fit perfectly in there adds costs. The pivot itself, that unique design that you see, that adds cost. You know, a fuller and the blade shape and the different finishes on there, that adds cost as well. The milling on the inside, a back spacer and adding that unique space back there and unique size, that adds cost. Those are things that make this knife that much more premium, but it does add cost. So, you know, just you have to accept that, right? So purpose and for this knife, EDC hard use collection piece, absolutely could be a collection piece. Most of the Null knives are collection pieces, I would say, but every piece I have in my collection, I carry, right? So it depends on whether they're safe queens or not. For me, I carry every piece that I have. Now, does that mean I'm going to go chop wood? And no, I'm not going to do any of that. I have work knives. They're specifically for that. And if I'm needing to be chopping wood, I'm going to have a fixed blade or an axe, right? That's what you want to use. You don't need to use something else for that. So keep that in mind. That's definitely something worth thinking about. So those are things that add cost as far as add cost. What am I talking about? Those are things that, you know, it's up to you as a collector, how you want to use your knives. For me, that's what I choose to do. If you have safe queens, that is your call. They're your knives. You do what you want with yours, man, right? But I would definitely EDC this. If this knife was, like the Raikou. The Raikou is absolutely the EDC end knife. I carry it, I use it, I cut boxes, I cut cases of water, I'll cut dog food, cat food, fertilizer, mulch, cat litter, whatever. I will cut those things. I'm not going to go chopping branches and working in the yard with it. No, I'm not. Just because I have a work knife for that. It's a much harder use type of knife, and that's what I would use for that, right? So that's how I choose to carry my collection or my knives. All right, overall design. I love the design. I love the look of it. There's just so many good things about this. I love how he did the front flipper. Love the fuller. I think that's fantastic. I love the finish on here. It feels really premium without giving that kind of rough, edgy kind of look to it, but it doesn't feel like cheap, right? It feels really nice. I love the fact he extended that sort of finish to the blade as well, from the titanium to the steel blade as well. Kind of gives it that stone washed sort of working acid wash sort of finish. I like the uniqueness of the designs. I like the texture. I love the texture of the design of the back spacer. I love this right here. It's very functional. The fuller's functional. There's a swedge up here that's functional. It's very slicey. You can definitely work with it. You can definitely cut with it. It's got a nice tip that can really get into letters, boxes, whatever you need to open up, right? All of that is really, really, really well. I mean, there's even a lanyard for people, right? And the clip is made as such that it's going to kind of pull it in, so it's going to get it nice and tight, but it's almost hidden. It's not completely hidden, but it's a very, very deep pocket carry. I like that. Now, as far as the clip, I have two things on this knife that really are a bummer. And I say a bummer because for me, it causes me to make this knife not something that's going to be in my collection, right? And it's a reality of the shape and ergos of my hand. The size. First of all, the handle it's too small, and this sharp edge, I can't get past it. It digs into me. It's uncomfortable. I'm bummed about that. So that's the first thing. Second of all, the clip. I wish this was not as sharp. When I have a knife like this and they do a clip like that, as long as it's like a plain titanium, it's not finished like this, I will polish that tip and get it nice and round. That's easy fix for me, but not everyone's going to want to be able to do that. And then when you fix that, you are going to see a different tone. It's going to be polished up there. It's going to look a little different. It's going to be like a little finish like that on the very tip. And some people might think that's, weird or what have you. I don't have a problem with it personally. The clip does work well. It looks like it's got a nice ramp going in and out. It's going to, good pressure, works well. It bends. I just wish the tip was that, and I wish the size of that. That's my two biggest bummer in the design. Opening and closing is superb. The front flipping, the action is superb. It's really fantastic. The fuller is fantastic. It opens and closes just like a dream. It's got perfect detent as far as I'm concerned for a front flip or a fuller flip. You can't, could it be crisper? Sure. But for a front flipper and a fuller flip, I feel like you've got to be careful, because most people are not going to just come up here and bang that away, right? Some people are going to want to do that. They're going to want to use a knuckle. And if it's too strong, then you can't really use a knuckle. If you want to do the over the top kind of a flip like that, then it gets to be difficult, right? So you can't go too crazy ridiculous on there. Now, you can tune it to be a stronger detent if you feel like it's too soft. I think it's perfect for a front flipper. I think this is a really good tuned for a front flipper type of knife. I like that. I like it a lot. So that is really fantastic. The closing is superb, right? You drop that, you catch it right there. It drops really nicely, and this thing's just going to keep breaking in more and more. So I think that's phenomenal. So yeah, I like the knife. So what's the fidget factor? Well, the front flipper, outstanding. The fuller, outstanding. The open and close, left and right-handed, is outstanding. I'm going to give this a 5, not even a 4.5. I'm going to give it a solid 5 just because of how well they did this, how well. They're just going to get extra. I almost want to give it a 6 because this liner lock is just superb. One of my favorite. I'm going to give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 6 because that liner lock deserves an extra point. It deserves an extra point. It's a beautiful design. I love that. So that's my opinion, right? You may not agree with me. It's okay. You don't have to agree with me. You know, you're watching this, you're trying to get my opinion, see what I think. And this is what I think, right? So this is where I stand on this knife. And I think I knocked the camera or must have done something. Anyways, so that's my perspective on it. I love that. Now, what's the fidgety goodness? So if you take out the fact that it doesn't quite fit my hand, the fidgety goodness would be 100% on this one. Because it doesn't fit my hand, I'm going to give it a 90. It's an A-, right? For me, it's an A- because it hurts for me to grip the knife and to move it after a while. And so it's an A-, but I think if you had smaller hands, you had thinner fingers, this would be 100, an absolute 100% banger. So if you like smaller knives, if you find yourself, some of the knives I've looked at are a little big or whatever, you're going to dig this knife. I think this is the knife for you. I think if you can get your hands on it, I would highly recommend it. Very comfortable. I think it's a really, 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 really cool knife. So I hope you consider getting this. I hope you consider getting one of these into your collection because it is just absolutely outstanding. So yeah, there you go. That's where I stand on that. I'm definitely going to give it it's a 90 just because of my hand, but anybody else, it's 100%, right? So take that with a grain of salt. Remember, it's my perspective, my experience, where I'm coming from, right? So I just want you to just understand that. All right. So what are my overall thoughts? Is it recommended? Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you're talking about my hand, my shape, my size, if you're looking for something that you very much feel like you've got similar hand shape and you like my perspective on ergos, no, it's not going to be recommended. But I'm looking at this for someone who likes a smaller knife. This is a 7 and 1/8 or 7 and 1/16 kind of a knife. It's a smaller knife. It's not a giant knife. This is a smaller knife. And if you like smaller knives, you're looking for a smaller knife because maybe that's your thing, I think this is absolutely recommended. So I'm looking at it for the target audience, right? I have to try to take myself out of this because even though I check out knives, some of the knives I check out, they're not for me. Just like when I check out really big knives, I mean, I could knock every one of them and say, no way, no way. But, I realize like, like the cold steel, that giant one, the Recon or whatever it is, that one is ridiculous. It's a pocket sword. I would never carry that. It is out of this world, ridiculously too big. And some people are y'all gonna love it. You're like everyone needs to have one of these. I get it, and you feel strongly about that, and I respect that. But I will never own that. Right? It's just too big. Just like I will never own this. It's too small. Now I own some small knives, and the ergos work for me. This one just doesn't work for me, but I think this would work for a lot of people who like smaller knives. So I think you would dig it, right? So I'll say I'm going to leave it as recommended with the caveat for smaller hands. All right, so remember that, recommended for smaller hands. So hopefully you get to this part of the review and you catch that part. Sorry about the Ring doorbell. I got to put that on pause, but I just want you to know that's where I stand on that one. Hey, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this one. Maybe you think I'm an idiot. Maybe you don't agree. That's okay. We don't have to agree. I'd love to hear your opinion on the knife. What your experience, if you owned a knife, maybe you have a different perspective on this knife altogether, and that's fine. That would be really cool to hear and have somebody else's view on this knife, right? I'd love to hear that in the comments, especially your experience. I think that's important. It's good to hear that from different perspectives. So, hey, if you found this content fun, interesting, worthwhile, or entertaining, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. Subscribing and liking the videos really helps out the channel, allows the channel to grow, produce more content, do more things, ultimately do more things for you guys. So thank you, and sorry for the doorbell, Ring doorbell. It's not you, it's mine. Thank you for watching the content. I appreciate you guys, especially everyone out there who watches the videos, who enjoys the content. I sure appreciate you guys so very much. Yeah, thank you. Especially if you're on the live stream, leave comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And also a big shout out, thank you to my channel members. You guys are very encouraging. You guys really allow me to do things way sooner than I ever thought I'd be able to because of your support of the channel. I'm very grateful. And I try to do 2 very special things for my channel members. And I just want you to know that. And if those 2 things I'm about to go on tell you sound really cool, and maybe you want to be a part of this channel, or you just like, you just like one of them or both of them, or maybe you just want to be a channel member because you want to support the channel. There's a link down below in the description for 3 different tiers. Would love to have you as a channel member, but don't ever feel obligated. I want that to be your choice, and I'm grateful if you decide to do so. The 2 things I do is I do a once a month members exclusive channel members giveaway. Usually it's a nicer knife because you guys have been so generous with the memberships. I want to be generous back, so just look for that. The other one is I mail every new channel member a sticker. If you send me your name and your address, I'd love to mail you a sticker. Now, if you were a channel member all this time and you're still a channel member now, or you were a channel member before and became a channel member again, and you're both channel members right now, and you never got a channel member sticker, email me too. I would love to mail you a sticker as well. So thank you to everyone out there. Appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't already, check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.